Boom, have no fear. The I Am Rapaport Stereo Podcast is here. Biggity boom, have no fear. The I Am Rapaport Stereo Podcast is in the place to be. Welcome to the Iron Dome of Disruption. Welcome to the Ziggity Zone of Disruption. My name is Michael Rapaport, a.k.a. the Inflamed Ashkenazi, a.k.a. the Sultan of Sniff, a.k.a. the Gringo Mandingo. You're now rocking with the very, very, very best I Am Rapaport Stereo Podcast coming live and direct from New York City, where it's feeling like fall. It's not feeling like spring. It's not feeling like a pre-summer day. Right now it feels gloomy. It is a gloomy day in New York City. And how apropos, because the Knicks last night had one of the gloomiest days in their history. I feel like that was one of the gloomiest days to be a Knicks fan. Game 1, Eastern Conference Finals. Much discussed, much debated, much anticipated. Eastern Conference Finals versus the miserable Indiana Pacers. New York Knicks led by, of course, Big Body Brunson. Where'd that name come from? Right here. Jalen Big Body Brunson. I gave him that nickname. No disrespect to my man Kendrick Perkins. That nickname was spawned from the I Am Rapaport Stereo Podcast. Of course, Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, so forth and so on, versus the unlikable Indiana Pacers, led by their mumbling coach, Rick Carlisle. I watched Rick Carlisle in a press conference before the game. I'm just like, what's up, man? You've been doing this for years. Cut the crap. You're Bill Belichick now. All of a sudden, you're like, you know how that worked out. Look how it's working out for Bill Belichick, Rick Carlisle. Get a personality. I know it's the playoffs. I know you're like a serious guy. You shave your head and all that stuff. But lighten up. Okay, you're in the Eastern Conference Finals. Having a little bone broth. What is bone broth? I'm not exactly sure. Ask my wife. Of course, my wife is the co-host of Rapaport's Reality Podcast, where me and my wife, Kibi, discuss all things reality TV, all things popular culture, and some curated, much interested people are curious about some little tidbits about our relationship. Rapaport's Reality, a podcast where we discuss all things reality TV, all things popular culture, and some things from our relationship. Drops like clockwork every single week. Subscribe, rate, and review. Check out Rapaport's Reality, where you see a softer side of me, the Gringo Mandingo. Anyway, Game 1 has come and gone. The Knicks Eastern Conference Finals versus the Indiana Pacers, and it was going well. Things were going really well for the Knicks, despite some foul trouble for Big Body Brunson, Jalen Big Body Brunson. The Knicks were playing well. We dealt with the foul trouble of Big Body. We came, we saw, we conquered. We were in control going into the last few minutes of the fourth quarter, and then hauntingly, somehow, some way, we let the miserable, unlikable Indiana Pacers back into the game. I don't know how or why. I'm still processing how and why we let them back into the game, but he went nuts. The guy went totally crazy on the Indiana Pacers. Neesmith, who was guarding Big Body Brunson and making it challenging, but Brunson was doing his thing despite the foul trouble. But in the fourth quarter, I think it was with 4 minutes left, this guy hit one three-pointer after another three-pointer after another three-pointer after another three-pointer. And I was watching it with headphones because my wife had fallen asleep. I was watching it with my headphones on the TV, and she was out cold. And all I could think of is the movie Apocalypse Now, starring the great Marlon Brando, the great Martin Sheen, of course, the late, great Dennis Hopper, directed by the great Francis Ford Coppola. And while it was happening in slow motion, all I could think about is the Marlon Brando line from Apocalypse Now, the horror the horror. The horror. And I was like, this can't be happening again. Not with the Indiana Pacers. Not with the Indiana Pacers and Madison Square Garden. This can't be happening again. How could this be happening again with the Pacers, with Reggie Miller doing the play-by-play with TNT? How could this be happening again? We've talked about it. We've exorcised these demons. And it happened. It happened again. And the whole thing culminated with Tyrese Haliburton. Tyrese Haliburton. Ty with the good hair. Curly-haired Tyrese, goofy face, big burger face Tyrese Haliburton came down, I believe, with 7.9 seconds, and he dribbled, and he saw Mitch Robinson, and then he backed out, and then he launched a three-point shot, and it went all the way up in the air, and it hit the rim, and then it bounced all the way back in the air, and then fell through the hoop. And all I could think was the horror. The horror. The horror. Why is this happening again? How is this happening again? And then the most shocking moment of it all is when Ty Haliburton, Tyrese with the good hair, goofy-faced, burger-faced Tyrese Haliburton, had the nerve and audacity to do the choke sign in New York. The nerve and the audacity to do the choke sign in front of Reggie Miller. And I literally thought Reggie Miller was going to ejaculate. I know that it must have been orgasmic for Reggie Miller to see Tyrese Haliburton reenact and the Indiana Pacers reenact another historic comeback in the world's most famous arena. And then we went to overtime and we lost the game. But when Tyrese Haliburton, although he shot a 3 and it was called a 2 and he did the choke, we were done. We didn't even need to go to overtime. Just the fact that they got that close and they got into the game and tied up the game. We should have just said, keep it. You got it. We're done. We're not going into overtime. And we went into overtime, and I believe the score was 138 to 135. And the Knicks lost game 1 at home in the world's most famous arena. And I couldn't scream. I couldn't yell because my wife was asleep. I had to eat it and stuff it. And the memories, the bad memories, flooded back into my brain. The bad memories of the Knicks versus the Pacers with Antonio Davis, Dale Davis, Rick Smits, Vern Fleming, being coached by Larry Brown, and then being coached by Larry Bird, and then, of course, being coached by Isaiah Thomas and Mark Jackson and Chris Mullin and the rest of them, and all the heartbreak and the loss and disappointment and disappointing situations that I can only speak for myself, that I have been through as a New York Knicks fan my entire life. I could only take so much. Knicks fans could only take so much. And yes, it was only one game. And if we had won, it would only be one game. But for that to happen that way in Madison Square Garden, in front of Reggie Miller and Tyrese Haliburton, with the audacity to do that in New York City, the horror. And the memories came back of John Starks headbutting and Reggie Miller grabbing his crotch in the middle of Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena, the same arena where Ali fought Frazier, the same arena where Hulk Hogan fought the late, great Andre the Giant, WrestleMania, the same arena where Frank Sinatra sang, the same arena where Billy Joel did sold-out show after sold-out show, the same arena where the Boston Bruins beat up a New York Ranger fan with his own shoe, the same arena where Marv Albert iconically said, "Here comes Willis. Here comes Willis. Here comes Willis." Madison Square Garden, for that to happen in Madison Square Garden and for him to do that gesture, even though it was called back as a 2-point shot, I know that I'm not alone in saying my inner child came out of my body. When Tyrese Haliburton did that, my inner child came out of my body, stood in front of me and wept. And my inner child was wearing a Bernard King jersey. And my inner child had a wristband on this arm. My inner child had socks pulled up all the way to the bottom of my knee. My inner child cried in front of me last night watching the Indiana Pacers come back from, I believe, 14 points down and win that game in overtime. It was terrible. And I thought about Patrick Ewing's finger roll in 1995 in Game 7 in the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. I thought about Reggie Miller. What was it? 9 points in 8 seconds or 8 points in 9 seconds? Who knows? I thought about Mario Elie going, when the San Antonio Spurs decimated us in the finals. I thought about the Knicks being in Houston. We got somehow, some way, we got to Game 7 in Houston versus Hakeem Olajuwon. Somehow, some way. I don't even know how we got there. And missing every single shot. John Starks missing every single shot. I thought about Charles Smith pump faking and pump faking and pump faking, getting it swatted and pump faking and pump faking and pump. All those images and those bad memories came back to me. And like I said, my inner child stood before me and cried. That was a tough pill to swallow. And again, it was only one game, but the way it happened and who did it and the fact that Reggie Miller was in the building and all the excitement and anticipation and the fact that New York City, for some reason, they didn't do Jalen Brunson, Big Body Brunson. Okay, you want to give a streak for Big Body Brunson or just the starters? Okay. The entire Knicks team all had streets named after them before the game. The entire Knicks team? It was just Midwestern Indiana egg in the face. That's what it felt like. Game 1 in the Garden was Midwestern Indiana eggs in your face, being thrown at you by Rick Smits, being thrown at you by a shimmering shimmy, shimmy, shimmy Mark Jackson throwing eggs in your face. Like I said, the Celtics, Boston, the Knicks and the Celtics, this is not a rivalry. Boston, New York is a rivalry. We stomped and stepped over the Boston Celtics. But when you think about great rivalries in the NBA in recent years, the Knicks and the Pacers is a real rivalry. There's documentaries, books written about it. There's an entire documentary on ESPN called Winning Time. Great documentary that breaks it down to the white meat. And sure, the series went 3-3. But the thing about the Pacers is that when they got us bad. When they got us, they put their thumb right in our face and they smudged it in there. And that was another thumb right in the face. They did it. So now we just have to bounce back. Again, it was one game. It was one game, but we have to now bounce back. But it felt bad. The horror. I am Rapaport Podcast.